So I'm going to hit record now. You might have to allow it. I will only share the speaker view in my slides with people if they want to learn more. Does anyone have any questions before I dive in? Okay, awesome. Let me pull up my slideshow. All right, so we are here today to learn about Bhutan. Um, have any of you been yet to Bhutan? I don't see. I know Jackie has. Um, and this is a magical land. So, and I'll tell you some of the reasons why. Um, the trip that I'm leading is from September 12th to the 21st. I was in touch with my colleagues there today we're kind of finalizing the final itinerary in the next 2 weeks. But that's what we're looking at. The price here is 8,100 per person. $500 of that is a tax deductible donation. You'll get a letter for that. That is to support the work with the Mompa people who I'll talk about. This price includes round trip airfare from Bangkok to Paro and from Paro back to Bangkok, and then a flight within the country when we are there from one side to the other side, basically. And then we drive back. So you do see the majority of the country, but rather than having us do the windy roads both ways, we fly one way and then we drive back. All your lodging, all of your food, bottled water, um, hotel accommodations, and tips for all the guides and the drivers, all the visas and the sustainable tourist visa fees are all included in that. So please email me with more questions as well if you don't have time and to ask while you're in this session with me. I have this flag here to remind me to tell you that is the Bhutanese flag. It has also historically been called the land of the thunder dragon. It is very magnificent. It is in the Himalayas. There is a mysticism around visiting this amazing place. This is also the detailed information that I sent you, so I can answer any questions about that. There have been numerous books written about Bhutan. Um, I encourage anyone who wants to travel to read any of them, and it gives you a better insight into the government and the mentality and the people who live there. So where is Bhutan? If you look at this top left at our world map and you see Asia here and India here, Bhutan is this very small country sandwiched between India and China. So here's another picture of it right here. There's some disputed borders in the north with China. So there's a lot of history here with respect to Bhutan being very proud nation, not having ever been conquered. They have very good diplomatic relationships with India, but they also don't have any US embassy there. And that's a political decision as well as one to basically have permits for any of us to go. You have to get approvals and visas from people in the country. You actually can't even buy your own ticket generally into Bhutan. It has to be done by a Bhutanese travel agent. So we are talking about the roof of our world, really. This is Bhutan, the nation, the Himalayan mountains, these great, sometimes we call them Himalayan mountains, border the northern part. The central part of Bhutan has a lot of rivers and valleys and a lot of the snowmelt from those Himalayan mountains. This area in the southern part, or we call the Lesser Himalayas, it's a very fertile area. This is where the majority, the central and south, the majority of the population live. And the country is divided in the middle by the Black Mountains. And that is where the indigenous group is that I've been working with for over 10 years. Here's just another picture because I'm a map geek. of this Tibetan plateau, and Bhutan kind of begins that Tibetan plateau, this very, very high area of our planet, and high desert, cold, windy, very few people living here. So it's a lowly populated country. Here are the national parks. So we do visit many of the national parks. Most of you know me, but I am a professor and I'm a marine biologist by trade. And I'm also an environmental scientist. And I was invited to teach over here in Thimphu, the capital. And I taught biodiversity and ecosystem management at the Royal Thimphu College, which I'll tell you about. And I soon learned about the incredible ecoregions. The whole nation is a biodiversity hotspot. So we have various, like the Royal Manus National Park here and the Jigme Dorji Wangchuck, or the Jigme Dorji, excuse me, National Park here in this mustard color. We have national parks all around the country that they have established. And what these green lines in between are what ecologists call corridors, migratory corridors, areas where species can actually move back and forth. So you know how important movement is to any organism. And Bhutan knew this before even the US in terms of scientifically understanding that you not only needed to protect vast areas, but you needed to have ways for animals to get from place to place. So they have these amazing corridors and protected areas. So we have a nation of diverse Himalayan ecosystems, of high alpine forests, lots of beautiful meadows, broadleafed forest, mixed conifer forest, temperate forest, tropical forests, rivers, streams, lakes, marshlands. It's really a diverse suite of ecosystems. The forest coverage has increased. It's about 72% of the country's total area, and it's actually in their constitution to continue having at least 70% of the country forested. And these are the 10 protected areas with the biological corridors. Here is a map that one of the guides has drew for me when I was there in a trip years ago. And I just love this hand-drawn map showing the various zongs. So the zongs are the fortresses, the center of power. It's a religious, but also governmental local area where people go and vote and they get their ID cards and that kind of thing. They're called a zong, D-Z-O-N-G. And they have them in various parts of the country, and we visit many of them. You can also see the various peaks here. So, Tiger Mountain is one large one. The biggest peak in Bhutan is Gankar Punsam at 24,500 feet. In Bhutan, though, they don't believe in climbing their tallest mountains. Unlike Nepal, they soon noticed that climbing and that whole um, infrastructure that was needed for that degraded the habitat more than they wanted to see. They also have a spiritual connection to mountaintops, to water, to rocks. Most of the people have practiced Buddhism, and their belief is that you don't disturb the deities on the top of their mountains. So there's not a mountaineering tourism industry there. They have biking across the country, they have hiking, but climbing the top mountains is not something they do. They have something called a snowman trek that goes kind of along more of the base of these mountains, and along the base is still at sometimes 12, 15, 18,000 feet. We on our trip end up being mostly around 8 to 10,000 feet. So often I have people that get medication for high altitude, people who are sensitive to high altitude. I even bring medication with me as well, and I'll take it the night before I leave Bangkok to go to Bhutan, and maybe that first day or two, and have not had an issue. On our trip, we have Bhutanese guides. These are just some that I've had in the past. This is a local program where guides from Bhutan are paid by guiding agencies. They go through a training process, they get a certificate, and they are then registered guides in the country. And we support their local industry by having Bhutanese guides with us. In terms of transport, we take minibuses, and they have Bhutanese drivers that are very well versed at driving these roads. This was just one of my groups getting out to see the golden langur monkeys that were coming down this mountainside right here, an endangered, amazing, beautiful primate. So I taught, as I mentioned, at the Royal Thimphu College. Here I am with some of my students doing a cleanup. The buildings in Bhutan are all very characteristic in terms of their architecture. They have appreciated and enjoy kind of an amazing, unique architecture to some parts of Tibet and Nepal have this type of facade and windows. It's quite beautiful. My students did a cleanup and we did birding trips with the World Wildlife Fund. And at the time, I was the only American living there teaching. I brought both my kids, and we had just an unbelievable experience. And while I was there, I really honed in some work with the indigenous groups, and I was invited to um, to support them in their conservation strategies. This is Mount Everest, which you will see as you fly in. This is to remind me that there's a different feeling when you land in Bhutan. It very much um, feels like nature is revered. And this is a picture of a rock that on one of my first trips was told that it holds feelings. And if you touch it, you can feel feelings from other people who have been there and have sat with that rock. And I am a scientist in the Western perspective and the Western lens. And I will say that I touched the rock and I definitely felt energy. So, although I was skeptical, this was a place that changed me. Here's a picture of a zong. So these beautiful buildings we will visit, go inside and learn about the history of each of these places. At night, they light up. It's just a gorgeous scene. It doesn't even seem real. There's so many rivers, again, from the glacial melt that in September will be flowing beautifully. So we'll have time to look at the creatures, the birds, the river otters. Hopefully, we'll see, and some of the even the endangered species. At the end of our trip, we hike to Taksong or Tiger's Nest. This is a monastery built literally on the side of a cliff. Another magical place, beautiful hike, wonderful ecology along the way. And when I say valleys, this is what many of the valleys look like. So, very tall mountains, beautiful clouds, and valleys that have habitation in them. This is some of our beautiful river systems. They have, in the last 10 years, had more hydropower built in Bhutan, funded by India. A lot of the hydropower goes to India, so it's one of the ways Bhutan makes money. But the way they do it is to not block a river. What they do is they have offshoots of the river go off to the side. They harness the energy in pipes along the side, and then that water rejoins the river so as not to harm the species that are in it. In the middle of the trip, we will visit the Black Forest. So this is a mountain range about 1,500 to 2,700 meters above sea level. So about 9,000 feet above sea level in some areas. This is an area that only a group that travels with me is able to go to. So we visit the cheer pine. So it's a conifer forest. There's broadleaf trees as well. It's like a nexus of biodiversity in this area. This is where chances are high we would see the endangered golden langur, and there's families and troops that live along the road and along the area that we hike to this village that we visit along. There's also black-necked cranes that come in some of the valleys and feed in the areas where the people are farming. These are sacred birds. They have a black-necked crane festival. Um, I don't know if any of you are really into birding or cranes. I am part of the Crane Society, and seeing birds is kind of a highlight in Bhutan. They're very special, huge diversity of species, colors, ways of living. It's wonderful. This is some pictures of the Monpa. So these are the first people of Bhutan, and they are known as the wisdom keepers. So they have very unique knowledge of the forest and of the ecosystems that have been passed down from generations. We have dinners with them, we have dancing with them. They do their traditional dances. I'll warn you now, then they ask all of us to dance. I think one of the most creative was a group of students that I brought did YMCA. They were adequately impressed, not incredibly impressed, but very, very fun in terms of interactive. We're going to have, because we're coming, they wanted to have the Mompa Day celebration when we are there. So it hasn't been determined exactly which day that we're there, but I said, great, let's do it. So once a year, um, with our donation help, they do a festival. They do invite everyone to come from the city and the country. And they have celebrations of their food, of their clothing, of their knowledge, of their medicinal knowledge, and of the way that they use the forest sustainably. This is what it looks like when we tent camp there for 2 nights. A beautiful, as you can see, location on the mountains. They have exhibits where they show what edible plants they collect from the forest and how they prepare them. They talk about practicing selective and rotational harvesting. There's local regulations that they introduced themselves. So, for example, they told me, we just don't harvest more than 10 cane shoots at once per person. And that way it's always sustainable when the next person goes out. So, these are people who have been practicing sustainability since the dawn of time. I was asked, so here's this top picture is what it looks like where we hang out and have our kind of time with them to learn from them. This is what Mompa Day 5 years ago looked like with their dances. And this is Aptala. So I was invited to work with him to write a book on medicinal plant knowledge. Now, let me just quickly tell you the story, which some of my students have heard, but he said, I want to write a book about everything I know because no one wants to learn what I know about setting bones and how long do you steep the tea and when do you drink it for pain? How do you treat headaches? Everything. And I said, oh, okay. All right. Tell me what you want me to put in the book and I'll organize it and show it to you and you can decide. And then, so I started writing everything down that he was saying. And then I got a grant so that the Bhutanese has in Bhutan, they have a center for biodiversity. So I got a grant to have them go for a week and write down more things that he was saying. And then a grant to have a film crew go and film some of the things that he was saying. And then I came back with another group to kind of finish it all off. And then I understood why he wanted that. So each time a group would come and wanted him and to sit with him, more people started sitting around him to listen. What are these people coming to learn? Why do they want to talk to Aptala? He was just helping the cow with the broken ankle and helping my mom with the big thorn in her thumb. Like, what are all these people doing coming and sitting with him? He started getting people that wanted to learn from him. So he now has three, I think maybe four apprentices who are trying to learn from him. And what he told me then was, I'm dead pretty much up to my knees. He doesn't exactly know how old he is. So I really want to teach everyone in the village, and now they want to learn. So thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing people. Every time you bring the youth, more of our youth want to learn what I have to say, and they'll come sit around and think it's cool that this group came from the US on the other side of the planet to learn from us. And so I've seen it time and time again where I'm shocked and amazed and learn from them how to really make change in this next generation. And this is one of those examples. So for any of you who are students who want to come, it's really, really important to them. And I'm also looking at setting up volunteer opportunities for you to teach English in the school while we're there. Maybe even potentially volunteer after if you had time. So that's something I can talk to you about. So while we're there, we build community. This is what our tented camp looks like. I will say, my sister isn't super, I don't think you're on this call. She's not super excited about a tented camp. But I found it, we have water bottles inside to be warm, and they'll bring you warm tea in the morning. And I had enough blankets that I actually got too hot for those nights. But what I'm doing academically in terms of the wording that I use to explain it is called the co-production of knowledge. It's not mine, it's theirs, and I'm allowing a venue and supporting their way of getting this information out and raising awareness. This group, and some of you are wondering, what about World Wildlife Fund or the Nature Conservancy or Cultural Survival? This group is too small to really be on the radar of one of those large, large groups. So there's 250 or MOMPA in this community. So it's not an incredibly large community. They also haven't wanted that kind of exposure. So again, I'm doing what I'm being asked to do, which is bring people to their village every year. The next project that you can help with when we're there is to document their relationship with the environment and the culture and the relationship of culture to the environment. So that's what he and the group that now works on research and writing down their language wants to do next. They want to have a book that talks about how they appreciate and think about nature and ecology. So here are just some more pictures of the beautiful village and the people in the village. Beautiful window view of a valley that you would see. And then people are often very curious about the food. So I tried to take all my food pictures and put them in a slide. Um, Lots of momos and vegetables, and I will ask you on a survey what you eat and don't eat so that we're sure to have a plethora of things for everyone. We tend to have noodles and there's some chicken. And I have had much luck with people absolutely loving the food and actually saying, oh my gosh, is it already lunchtime? I'm still full from breakfast. And oh dear, it's dinner and I'm still full from lunch. The national sport is archery. So you'll have a chance to do that. I am not very good, but this was one of my best shots. So I had to show you right here above the bullseye. Here are some Mompa showing their, I have one of these hats that I bought at the last Mompa day, what they do with various things. This is Purpala. You will meet him. He's the head of the research group right now. And this is the page or their outfit that they wear. It's made out of, that they have now woven out of nettle cloth. So beautiful clothing. What I'm really looking at is the MOMPA resilience. And so, again, I was thinking, in terms of resilience, they would have a hard time being so far away from schools and infrastructure. And my idea and my hypothesis has been flipped on its head. Because of their culture, their community, their medicinal plant knowledge, their health is much better than I would have thought. Their biodiversity knowledge and their food and their history, their knowledge of the history and food in their area is so incredible that they're actually much more resilient than communities like, let's say, mine in Santa Barbara, where I have to depend on a grocery store. In when COVID happened, they knew where the food was, where to get it, how to harvest it, how to process it, and they said, "Madam, we weren't worried at all. We were fine." And that was just so eye-opening to me of what I can learn from other cultures and other places. I'm not going to go over this, but this is in a chapter that I'm writing about what it really looks like to co-design conservation. And there's different models, but the goal is I just took that picture, put it here, and let you know there's a lot of documenting, a lot of community conversations, some strategic planning, lots of sharing and monitoring and reflection. And our shareholders are a lot of different organizations, government, nonprofits, and the MOPA community directly. So here's a picture of me tilling the land with an ox. They allowed us to do this when I was here last. And we support one of the Mompa girls and her brother to go to school in Paro. So she and her brother now go to school. Actually, they moved to the school in Thimphu, the capital. And the school in their village only goes to sixth grade. And the teachers are placed there from other places in Bhutan. And often they don't want to be there. They feel like they're out in the middle of nowhere. So it's been very eye-opening to kind of go to the school and visit. So she and her brother and her mom wanted them to go to school. So there was a funder who was willing to support that. And she wants to be a doctor and go to medical school and come back and live in her village and practice medicine, but also traditional medicinal ways of supporting her people. So it's very exciting. Hopefully, you'll meet her while we're there. Her name is Sonam. And I wanted to show you some of the beautiful pictures of their culture, what they use, their homes. This is a brilliant way to store their firewood under their house so it stays dry. Wrapping. So they obviously are not using plastic to wrap butter or treats. They are using leaves and threads of nettle. And so their waste is much less. This is the woman who is weaving. This is making ora, one of their from rice. So it's one of their alcoholic drinks. You will for sure try if you would like. Here is a group in their traditional wear and in some of the Bhutanese traditional wear as well, waiting for us to get ready to do our dance and laugh at us. Here's some of the traditional hunting techniques of the Mompa in the forest. And even if you can't come on the trip, I always have a call to action, which is resisting the legacy of using like helping, which is our Western colonizing way of thinking of like other and really getting your body and your brain and your heart and your head to the place where you want to learn more. And that's really what it took for me is being there and then hearing from them, getting the invitation, hearing from them, what is it that you need? What is it that I can do to support you? And even when you don't maybe understand what the ask is or how it really is going to affect kind of long term just going with it, letting them be the leads. Hopefully, after this, you'll have questions and you'll sign up and you'll come to the trip. You'll support them. You can be a member and support the Tribal Trust Foundation. You can support the book publication. So you can donate just directly to the Tribal Trust Foundation. Let me know that you did it because there's not a drop down for book. So you would put in, you would choose event. Let me know that you donated, and that would really help. Committing to interactions that are healing, participatory, just, and equitable. That's really supportive and helpful. Connecting your heart and mind and attaching your eyes to your heart. So I learned that from one of the Mompa, and I haven't yet figured out. It was in my notes, and I don't know which Mompa told me that, but that's what they said. They wished for all people who came to visit them. Just have your heart and your mind connected. Well, why don't you just attach your eyes to your heart? And I thought that's so beautiful. I'm going to put that in my slideshow. Examine your life and seek meaning. And remember that critical Indigenous inquiry begins with the concerns of Indigenous people. And follow me on Instagram. So that is my prepared slideshow. And I'm wondering if anyone has questions. I got to figure out how to stop sharing. There it is. Thanks for listening.
Hey,
You,
John, I have a question actually.
yes.
Sorry, I'm driving, but do you know of any way to find funding or
Yes.
like grants for this trip?
So I can send, I have had students apply through their departments
Okay.
often for like some departments at universities have like small grants that can help. You know, maybe it's two, $4,000. I do have a list of grants that I kind of was gonna look through myself and try to write something up and ask for help with.
Okay.
But Kate, I'll write your name down and I can send you a list of things that I find. It's really a matter of just doing searches.
Okay. Sweet. Then I
Yeah,
will get on that. Thank you.
you're welcome. Anyone else? Rebecca.
Sorry, my computer died on me. I apologize for jumping on and off so
Oh,
many
it's so
times.
good to see you.
You got your little
Hi.
screen shared with me. I was like, yes. I would like to also be included with that list. If you come, I
Yeah,
have a couple in mind that I think I can possibly apply to, but any help with that would be amazing because
I
I
know.
would love to go.
Yeah. And I am working with a school, a few schools and trying to get it like $500 off if you can, if we, like do a service project in a school for a day or that kind of thing for students. So keep our fingers crossed. And Liesel, we can make another time to meet because we can tailor front or the back end, to a trekking visit if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, I figured you and I offline would be the best use of everyone's time for that. But thank you.
Yes, let's do that.
Trip looks beautiful.
And hi,
Hi.
fiance. Hi,
Hi.
congratulations.
Thank you.
You can always email me if you don't have any questions now. I have on the flyer, like, I'd really like to know by January 31st, if you're really thinking of coming. I have to basically book this far in advance because of getting the hotels and things like that. So I'll send everyone that flyer again, but I think I have January 31st is some amount of a deposit. I can be flexible with that for about 2 weeks. But really try to like think now. I feel like I know it's really far in advance September, but it comes quickly. And in terms of like planning your year and travel, sometimes it's nice to know, like, okay, I have that, so now I'm going to plan around it. I will say it is a trip of a lifetime. I have been lucky to go multiple times. I hope you will too. I hope some of you will stay for longer, maybe after, and do some volunteer work. But it is definitely a place that I feel like you have to visit at some point in your life. It's unlike anywhere I've ever been. And I one more. I have stories. I have too many stories, but um, I was doing a cleanup with my kids in a town called Haw. So it was a weekend getaway for us, and we had bought a whole bunch of notebooks and books for the students in the school, and so they all did the walk with us to clean up the trash. So again, because having things shipped to Bhutan is kind of new and plastic from India, they didn't have the infrastructure for all the trash cans. And so when I was there was still a lot of trash along the sides of the road. And so I would organize these trash pickups all the time, learning from the Mompa that if they see us doing that, so like some white woman and her white kids, like, why are they doing that? They would stop and ask questions and start joining us. And lo and behold, it worked. And so we were doing a trash cleanup, and the clouds were coming in over the Himalayas, and it was gorgeous. And there was this big boom of thunder. And I said, "Ooh, a storm is coming." And the little group of little kids said, "Oh, no, madam, that's the thunder dragons. They're just happy that we're doing this." And I said, "Oh, right." And his face was just, of course, it's the thunder dragons. What else would that be? They're happy that we're picking up the trash. So I was like, of course it is. You're right. Um, there was, I can't say it enough. Like there is a sacredness of nature and the ecology there that, in terms of how we study things in the US is very different than how they study things. So there's, a lot of observation and a lot of historical data that goes into reports that is really the focus. It's not quite, it's getting more kind of experimental, but they have learned so many beautiful ways of living in harmony with nature. Taking breaks in the workday is one. Not working from 8 to 5 without standing up. Standing up from your desk is one that I really loved. I loved the tea time in the afternoon and the sitting and talking to everyone every afternoon, not just like once a week. A lot of pieces of their culture that, I really hope and wish that we could bring to ours. And every time I go, I come back and say, okay, I'm gonna change this. And I can change little bits, and I'm still working on, you know, changing more. But I really, really hope you can join. I'm happy to get emails and answer more questions. I will resend the kind of I really need you to decide so I can book the hotels. The other option you have is to stay in, they have like 5-star hotels, which I've traveled with groups, and there's someone who really wants to experience that. And so you can absolutely do that and still be on our group excursions. So we find ones you could, if you're interested, they're called Amman is one group of them. And they are generally like 1,500 US dollars a night. And then it's the food is still included. And so there's an upgrade fee that we would attach if you want those kinds of hotels or experiences. We've had people that go in helicopters from one place to another. So I can work with you on that. So you would just let me know what you're thinking you want. We will trek. We do trek on our trip, but it's not a like camping and trekking along the way. There's no visitors in Bhutan go without guides. So everything is with a guide. Um, Even our group will have one or two guides. When I was living there, I had a work visa, and so I didn't have to go around the town with a guide. That's why we stuck out so much, is because you don't see people, um, white people, without a guide in Bhutan. But they do it because they do really believe in low volume, high experience, kind of high touch experiences. And they had issues with people from India that didn't have to have a guide going the wrong way on roads and entering the zongs without the proper etiquette of being covered or bowing or taking your shoes off. And so they have revisited some of their tourist policies. But their tourism fee goes to supporting